Okay, so the next item and the last item of material item is the new Constitution. I am going to pass over to Adrian Stevens just to lead that item. So Adrian, would you like to please take over?
Thank you, Neil. I'm going to share a document. So the Constitution was circulated to members for comment. We received a few comments and minor changes were made, and the updated Constitution was recirculated. This is the end of quite a long journey, which seems to have started forever ago, but it was probably about 18 months. And I'd like to thank Jeff Redhead, Bruce Robgent, who helped me as a Tiger team to put together the updated Constitution, and to Bob Turner, who's our ACE reviewer, for their contributions to this. To take a step back, the motivation for doing this is that the Constitution we have at the moment is not fit for purpose. There are a number of issues. The major issue is that the role of trustees is not described. And if you look at the Charity Commissioner's website, that is a key trigger for reviewing the Constitution. But there were other changes. The objectives had grown out of date with respect to certain items mentioned. We'll look at those in a moment. So the main changes in it are A, describing the role of trustees and clarifying the relationship between trustees and the various committees under them, and updating the objectives. And then the final one is the role of individual member. In the current Constitution, there is an individual member role that doesn't actually do very much. The individual members have actually been the trustees who've generally paid their £2 to Bob and have retained an individual membership on the assumption that they needed that in order to vote on the committee they were on. Well, the new Constitution clears up sillinesses like that. So hopefully you're seeing the motion text on screen. Can you see that? Neil, wave if you can. Okay, thanks. So there are two reference documents. These have been circulated to the members, and the purpose of the motion is to describe what is effectively a replacement of most of the document with a new document. However, we have to tread very carefully when describing change to the objects, because if you substantially change your objects, the charity commissioners would say you're actually a different charity. So what we're doing is basically replacing everything apart from the objects, which we're showing as changes. So the motions here are basically to replace bits of the existing text with new text. We change the name. We don't make any changes to the name, except the document refers to it as charity, not an association. To change the FECA objects, we enumerated the villages rather than saying the catchment area of Cottenham Village College. And we added a list of additional grounds for that would be considered to be discriminatory. And we're clarifying that we're working amongst organisations, charities, community groups. So that is the changes to the text. I would say, though, that the change to what we're doing is nothing. Now, this is what we've been doing ever since I've been involved, which has not been that long. And this means we're carrying on doing what we've been doing. And then the next bullets were deleted because they were either no longer relevant. So the association shall be non-party in politics and so on. That's already caught into the discriminatory language here. And we had the power to affiliate with an organisation that no longer exists. So that clearly is irrelevant. And then any local statutory authority, that again is included in the above local authorities. So that explains why you're seeing this as changes. And then the remainder of the motion is just to replace en bloc the old constitution with the remainder of the new constitution. And then finally, there's a paragraph here to grant the FECA chair the power to make editorial changes to the constitution, in particular to satisfy comments from the charity commissioners. We anticipate that they might create one or two hoops for us to jump through. This will enable Neil as chair to respond to them, provided they're not asking for substantive changes, which I think very unlikely. If they do, then clearly we'd need to bring it back to members, perhaps as a special meeting. So that's my introduction to the motion. Neil, how do you want to handle the motion?
We've got a vote. Could you just clarify as well for people on this that this is the relationship of our vote here to the adoption and the approval of the charity commissioners?
Yes, the charity commissioners require us to have approved the constitution before we can give it to them. However, if they disapproved it, we would then be in the state of us having approved it, but them having disapproved it. So what we're saying is that the changes become effective once accepted by the Charity Commission. So we don't need to do anything additional as a society, given that the Charity Commission are willing to accept the changes we've made modulo any editorial changes that Neil makes.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for that. So hopefully, if the Charity Commission approves this, the next AGM will take place under the new constitution. Which will
that's correct.
For those of you who read it, will be a lot better process, and there will be. It's basically bringing the constitution up to where we need it to be.